Darren in Salt Lake City says, Rod, do you think Brian Flores becomes the Colin Kaepernick of NFL coaches for his lawsuit that was announced yesterday? The answer to that is yes, I absolutely think that he will, but I don't think he cares. And for those that don't know to what we're referring, fired Miami Dolphins coach Brian Flores sued the NFL and 3 of its teams Tuesday, saying racist hiring practices by the league have left it racially segregated and managed like a plantation. The lawsuit filed in Manhattan federal court sought class action status and unspecified damages from the league, the Dolphins, the Denver Broncos, and the New York Giants, along with unidentified individuals. Flores was fired last month by Miami after leading the Dolphins to a 24-25 record over 3 years. They went 9-8 in their second straight winning season, but failed to make the playoffs during his tenure. Remember when he was fired? Everybody around here was shocked. Wasn't a popular decision by the Dolphins. But the lawsuit alleged that the league has discriminated against Flores and other black coaches for racial reasons, denying them positions as head coaches, offensive and defensive coordinators, and position coaches, as well as general managers. That's the Wire story on this. Obviously, you're seeing wall-to-wall coverage. Jeff Reinbold is on European television talking about this. This is a guy that's worked in the NFL. I'm uncomfortable talking about it because, A, I'm white, B, I'm not racist. It's kind of like walking a high wire. I don't really know. So I shot a text message to a couple of my black NFL friends, and I said, is there merit to Flores' claims here? And they said, absolutely there is. Reinbold said as much on Sky Sports Europe. Like, there's one black head coach in the NFL. 1 out of 32 teams. Yes, it's a microcosm of American society. There's racism everywhere. There's racism in the National Football League. The interesting thing about Flores, though, here, before he launched this lawsuit, I'm only going by the football people I've talked to here, plus what I've heard from the insiders in the media, is that Brian Flores was really hard to deal with here. You know, the general manager of the Dolphins, who is black, by the way, Chris Greer, apparently was a power struggle between him and Flores here. And they kept giving Flores more and more control over personnel, more and more control over everything, and he was never, ever happy, couldn't get enough, and finally they're like, you're fired. That Brian Flores isn't the easiest guy to work with. You know, maybe he was fired because he's a jerk. I don't know. I've never met the guy. But clearly his career, I guess, doesn't mean as much to him as righting this injustice, which everybody agrees is a thing. There is racism in the National Football League. And I know you have thoughts on this, and you've been watching the coverage out of the States too. Tell our viewers a little bit of what you know and where Bill Belichick comes into this. That was, from what I understand, like the cornerstone of Flores' the last straw, I guess, where he decided to mount this lawsuit.
That's the cornerstone of the whole suit. I mean, it's that text message. That's the proof, right? You see the text message conversation exchange between Bill Belichick and Brian Flores, and you know, it was a different Brian that got hired by the Buffalo Bills, right? And
Belichick was texting the wrong guy.
He was texting the wrong guy, saying, "Congratulations, I hear you're in the running." And Brian Flores is like, "Wait, I don't interview till Thursday." You know, well, it sounds like that you're their guy, right? And then, wait, do you know you're messaging Brian Flores and Bill Belichick? You can see the text messages online. And Bill Belichick put his foot in his mouth. He's like, I read this wrong. I'm sorry. It looks like they're going with the other guy. And Brian Flores hadn't even interviewed yet. And so you look at what the Rooney Rule is, that you have to interview, you have to interview multiple minorities for every head coaching job and one minority for every assistant coaching job, in the league. So Brian Flores gets called in, whether they were considering him or not, right? I've been in situations running interviews where I have 10 candidates lined up for an interview, and the second one I interview is a home run, and I'm like, I need to hire that person. They're so good. And unfortunately, the other people don't even get a shot, right? You still want to go through them just in case, do your due diligence. But it looks awful suspicious, like, Brian Flores has a real case here. And it's not good. It's not a good look for the NFL. And you wonder what it'll do to Brian Flores, if other teams are going to want to bring him in now, because you talk about the Colin Kaepernick comparison. That's what's unfortunate, and it's definitely not a good look.
Fans don't really want to know what's going on in sports with their favorite leagues or teams. They just don't. Hey, everybody. Thanks for watching the RP Show on YouTube. And don't forget, we're live daily on YouTube from noon to 2 Eastern. If you like what you see, hit subscribe. And if you like the program, check around for other segments of The Rod Pedersen Show here on YouTube.